So you go to a conference in America and then you'll see.
I didn't mute it, so. Yeah, I think let the people see already, so we can shift to the. We are live already, guys. So this is me, and we're getting a bunch of guys together, and this is. So we are first of all super excited to have you guys here at the conference here, Data Hack Summit, and we have some wonderful friends, guests, all really brilliant people. But actually, I want to give the stage, so I'm just facilitating here. So I want to enable these wonderful people. I want to quickly introduce these gentlemen. They're amazing people. I will avoid the titles. These are academically extremely talented people, just to make sure that the diversity is not only in the way they are sort of dressed. I mean, I'm kind of dressed more relaxed, but you know them all. So here I have Kunal here. So I'll just pass on to all of these gentlemen one by one, and just quickly introducing, and then we'll go into the questions and answers.
Hi everyone, Kunal here. So we had all these gentlemen at Data Hack Summit, and it was a pleasure to have all of them. We had really great discussions, great panel, great hack sessions. So really great to be here. So over to Eric.
All right. Hi, everybody. Eric Weber. I had the good fortune to be able to help kick off the conference yesterday and talk at large about data science and making impact with it. It's been a great experience, and I'll pass it on.
Hey, this is Vikas. It's my third year attending and speaking at Data Hack Summit. It's amazing to see the kind of ecosystem that has been built by Analytics Vidya with Kunal and his team, and it's also good to see the kind of maturing in the ecosystem we have here. We have some of the best practitioners in India come to this conference. Great place to learn. In fact, I'm here for all 4 days of the conference to learn. So what I feel is we should have more and more of such events with such high quality, so that the entire ecosystem, both in terms of education and application, can be uplifted.
Hi, his dad. I'm still actually very tired, so I don't probably want to say a lot. I just arrived yesterday at midnight, and it took me quite time to go through migration. And today I gave a talk. It's actually my first time at Data Hack Summit, so thank you for your invite. And then my second time in India. I'm actually always quite amazed going to India, talking to the people, and seeing what everyone is doing, and also the maturity of where you are. And it's always very engaging, to talk to the people. And yeah, other than that, I'm just enjoying, the Indian food. It was spicy again, at least for me, it's coming.
I've been wanting more spicy food.
More spicy.
Yeah, no. It's not my thing. But yeah, so far I really enjoy the conference. The people are very lovely. They take me, from place A to B, hotel to here. So very refreshing.
Hi, my name is Sander. It's the second time I'm here at the Data Hack Summit. I was here last year as well, and I'm lucky to be invited again. We just had a very nice panel conversation, which Vikas curated very well. Tomorrow I'll be giving a hack session on generative adversarial networks, and then on Saturday I have a workshop the whole day. And I'm always happy to come back here because I love the enthusiasm. And one thing that is particularly noticeable is that questions here at this Data Hack Summit are a lot more technical than at most conferences that I go to. So you really see that the level of expertise in India is surprisingly high.
Hi, first of all, it's actually very humbling to be following all these great speakers, and of course for being on Tarry Singh Live. This is probably my first and maybe the only time that I'm on Tarry Singh Live, but it's always great to be at a conference where you get to meet people like them. And the best part about the conference is that it's very well organized. So I've been to conferences, but this one is very well organized. Everything is minute to minute. So I would like to congratulate Analytics Vidya for having such a great conference, and I would love to come here probably next year. So I'm going to move my mic to Tarry for the next questions.
Awesome. So I don't know. You guys didn't follow these. Gentlemen are amazing in what they do. Sander was just he was featured on Futurism I think online for his wonderful project he did. I think so. We're not going to go technical since there are more people, and we want to make sure that we cover just two actually key important things. Is how is the ecosystem in India evolving? Because that was also covered in press yesterday when we were interviewed, a few of us. And the second is, what are the key takeaways you're already getting from this conference, actually? So I can start with myself. I think what I agree with Sander. It's really getting very technical. So when you see that the level and expertise of attendees is getting into not just specifically into artificial intelligence or artificial neural networks, but also going deeper into domains. For example, healthcare. We had Dr. Geeta. She was here, and she's doing a wonderful job with healthcare. But people from specific domains asking more deeper questions. So to me, it was. I think I can probably say that India's ecosystem has moved beyond being an emerging ecosystem. It is moving towards maturization. So that was for me the first sort of what I observed. The second, obviously, point is what exactly I'm taking away from this. I saw all the sessions of all these gentlemen. I mean, I follow these guys as well as much as the work that they do. For example, Dad, I got in touch with him nearly 2.5 years ago when he had made a really wonderful implementation of neural style transfer. In fact, I used some of his code as well. And actually played around with Van Gogh and a bunch of other paintings. I think Andreas Muller actually he was the one, right, who created this Pix to Pix and all that model. So yes, oh yeah, Philips, yeah, of course, yeah, Philip Isola. He was the one, the inventor, is amazing gentleman. So what I'm seeing is actually that for me the takeaway is that the level. So individually, also you gentlemen have actually created some really amazing products, and we see that on LinkedIn when the product announcements are coming, and so for me the takeaway is the level of expertise of the speakers has actually gone up. The second, obviously, takeaway is, I think the workshop, repeat workshop means that it is a success and it is coming back again. When professionals like Sander come back and myself, we are, as much as proud to be back and very grateful to be back. But it also shows that people actually want you back into the ecosystem to help it grow. So I think, in a way, this is really a huge congratulations to Kunal, who's put a tremendous amount of effort, and the whole team, and we'll kind of circle around and show you guys from inside as well just after we complete. So those are the two things for me. I don't know, Kunal, so basically those two questions around what do you think about the Indian ecosystem, and what is for you the key takeaways?
So thanks, Terry, for setting that context. And personally, I feel a lot of responsibility in developing this ecosystem actively, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm really glad in the way Data Hack Summit has evolved and the way Analytics Vidya has evolved. So over the last 3 years, we have continuously raised the bar on the depth of subject we would want to go in and the kind of discussions we would want to have in the community, and that's what you see at Data Hack Summit. So every year the level of discussions, the depth in which people are going is increasing. In fact, this year we have added an entire hack day just to make more discussions. So last year we had 2 days of conference and 2 days of workshops. So we have kept the number of workshops same this year, and we moved them to a single day and then 3 days of conference. So that's the idea, and the community has responded beautifully to that. So the level is obviously there. When I go outside, I also feel that we are probably slightly above average in terms of the quality of questions. But what I really like is the kind of hunger people have, the kind of motivation people have for learning, and that just motivates me to do more. Personally, for me, it's a huge honor to have all of you guys here, and being able to provide community this kind of exposure and this kind of opportunity. So that's the big takeaway. Anything which I can do to promote this ecosystem further, that's my biggest takeaway. And with that, over to Vikas.
So at Data Hack Summit, what I found very, very valuable is the ability to exchange ideas with colleagues. Right? And one of the things I'm seeing here in colleagues who are significantly younger than me, many of them know a lot more than me. So this is a forum where when I'm attending a hack session or even when I'm speaking, there is a lot more to learn from me, for me, than even for the audience. Because because the way Analytics with their team curates the presentations and makes sure everything is in order, it gives you a chance to actually study the subject deeper or understand yourself better.
Exactly. Yes. Go ahead.
You also kept me aside.
Please continue.
So this gives a great forum for people like me who were trained in the winter of AI to yeah. To get up to speed on what are the kind of things people are working on. Right? Now, normally you don't even see that in an academic conference, right? But because what you see at a conference like this, at Data Hack, is people are trying to solve very, very complicated problems end to end. How do you address those problems? How do you try to get around the limitations of different algorithms? This is something you don't get elsewhere. Right? People give a talk, they go away. Here, you get that community experience. And the other thing I've noticed is what Kunal and team do is they'll go later on some of the workshops, some of the hack sessions, they'll make into articles, they'll make it into courses. And so that's available for people later on. So that's an amazing thing. Now, in terms of the ecosystem in India, one of the things I'm seeing is that there is a significant maturing in the last 5 years, where people who were initially learning tools and technologies are learning problem solving today. And a forum like this can make that experience for people deeper and deeper. So I look forward to coming here again.
Yeah, I cannot speak so much about the history of India because it's actually, as I said, my second time here in India, and actually this year. So I cannot talk about like what happened 2 years or 3 years ago. But what I find quite amazing in India is, that they're working on similar problems that we also work in Germany or Europe in general, right? Maybe on different topics sometimes, but to similar problems or similar degree. And I can also agree with Sander that the question that asked here, like they have a very high quality, right? It's not like, because for me India was like, is it like a kind of a black box, right? Because in a neural you don't know, right? So you have to kind of like go there and you see what's really happening. And I was quite surprised, right? That that it could happen that we should start it with machine learning or with AI, right? But it's not like this. So they are very mature. You have a lot of people, and also I feel like the ecosystem here and the people here, they're very enthusiastic, right? So I see the hunger. The people, they really want to work on this problem. Whereas when I compare it to Germany, it's like, it's fine. Everyone wants to get into this, but it's not like with this enthusiasm that the people have, right? So, like also yesterday when I talked to the person who picked me up from the airport, he told me, I only slept like a couple of hours because I'm very interested into some certain machine learning networks, or also quantum machine learning, right? And he's getting into it. So it's very fun, and we had a very nice discussion about with the future of quantum computing, where it goes, where we see with maturity, and it's pretty interesting because I come from like 5,000, 6,000 kilometers from another continent, and he lives in another continent. And if you're speaking the same language, it's very, very funny, right?
No, I couldn't agree more. I think DataHack Summit is really doing an amazing job of becoming like a catalyst of bringing a lot of people together that have very strong technical backgrounds, and we have people here from government agencies, from companies, from very different backgrounds, from research institutions. And after talks, people come to you and they ask questions like, where was that paper coming from? Could you give a little bit more explanation about this? So it really feels, you can really feel that there is a lot of energy and people actually come here to learn. Yeah.
I feel like everything good has already been said, which is why I'm like over here, number 5. I agree, thumbs up. But I think I can speak a little bit to the enthusiasm. Worldwide, people definitely understand that this era in data science and AI is really important, but I think that enthusiasm is reflected in different ways. Here, it's people are hungry. They want to learn more. They want to know as much as they can, and they want to know it now. So the pace of what they want, the curiosity that they have behind it. I can't tell you how many good conversations I've had that I've learned from, and I think that's something that is important to look for in a conference. Are the people who are leading the conference, speaking at the conference, are they engaging, or are they just doing a one-shot in and out? Here, people are continuing to engage. They're asking as many questions as they're answering, and I think that's an extraordinarily valuable thing for this group and for any conference. And that's something that I think stands out about this particular place.
Okay, so I think I'll agree with most of them because almost everything has already been said. But the key takeaway that I have with this one is you get to actually interact with people who have really new ideas, so that inspire them, and also at the same time you also get some takeaway at home that you can maybe go home and then think about whatever you have learned and studied. So that is one of the main points. And then of course you get to meet people like Tarry and everybody everyone out there, and everybody has something special to offer. So just we take all of that and we just try to improve the next day. So that's it from my side.
Wonderful, thank you, Akshay. So we've kind of covered like the high level stuff, and obviously the growth and the evolution of DataHack, which Kunal is driving so passionately and aggressively as well. I mean, just to kind of remind you guys, it's the biggest data science conference summit in India, and I haven't. Yeah, in the highest quality.
That's even more important.
Yeah, but I haven't seen. I mean, I'm not aware of the subcontinent, or maybe I know that New Zealand and Australia. So if you look at APAC region, I don't think there is any conference that is as big when you kind of look at the quality as well. So maybe since we have several people, so I'll try to go to the last question, which probably is also defining, and it will help you also hopefully. Work towards your 2020 DataHack Summit is. So what do you think is the biggest opportunity, and just take the best you guys can think of, but as also the biggest, let's say hurdle / threat to the advancement and the application of, let's say, data science, whether it's machine learning or deep learning. I can kind of kick off myself what I think in the biggest opportunity, what and I think Andrew Ng was also mentioning. I think he was last week, and I saw him give a talk at Bloomberg, and he was saying, and I kind of agreed with him. He says there is not a single industry today which cannot be touched with AI. So I kind of and I've been thinking, because today when you look at this, and we were just having a joke about the visual receptive field, anything that actually is observable space, which is the manifold space, if topology was your subject, and also my passion when I studied spherical trigonometry, I think computer vision is looking at things maybe not as intuitively as humans do, because our brains are wired extremely sophisticated and beautifully, but they're getting closer. So I think the opportunity in every industry domain is really a lot. So it's ripe. Maybe some industry domains are riper than the other. So I think, in my personal, let's say, observation and experience, is my humble opinion, that I think there's opportunities a lot. The threat, what I see, or a hurdle or a hindrance, could be the adoption, I think, and potentially, the misrepresentation of what AI is, which is essentially machine learning and deep learning. So that is where I feel that I need to push and ignore sort of white noise and continue to focus on value. But I do worry that sometimes application of AI is used in ways where people start getting skeptical, and then they make indirect correlations into their own domain when you start talking about the applications of AI. For instance, if you go into a healthcare domain, people say, well, it's a rogue kind of application, no one trusts it, why would I want to use it? And I fully sort of agree and empathize with physicians, because they're trying to save lives, and we totally agree with that. So I wish the industry focused more on pushing, and in the media as well. Actually, media is playing unfortunately not that great a role in presenting the wins of AI. So to me, those are the two things I think, in terms of the biggest opportunity and the biggest hurdle / threat. Kunal, what do you think?
Should you want to go in the same order?
You guys
Let's switch that.
So we'll switch, because Kunal, Kunal has spoken.
Hoping that by the time it comes,
All the.
Oh yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll start with the youngest and the most talented gentleman here, and I guess, as Vikas rightly said, I think, the child is the father of man, as the old saying goes. So let's hear it from the people who will actually, invent and build beautiful things in the future, and hopefully we'll still be alive to do that.
Okay. So first of all, thanks for such a great introduction by Tarry. Couple of things that I want to point out, which is very relevant in terms of India, is that we have specific use cases which can only be worked in an Indian condition. So for example, I was having a discussion with the Google AI team, and with respect to India, I feel healthcare and agriculture are two spaces which are of very important significance, and of course they're also my research interests as well. So anybody who's listening, and if they want to work out any new use case, I'll definitely suggest that working out on a healthcare and or an agriculture problem is definitely going to solve a lot of issues. So as Andrew Ang and also Tarry mentioned, that I don't think there are a lot of spaces that can not use AI, but definitely in terms of when we consider Indian market, there has to be certain areas that are of slightly more importance, because the consumer market in that space, the number of consumers for that space will be relatively high. So I'm going to pass the mic on to somebody who's going to ready.
no threat for AI according to
So anybody who wants to take the mic, yeah.
All right. I think there's a lot of ways and a lot of reasons that AI has gotten to the point that it has, but I think what's going to continue to drive it is sustaining a real connection to results, right? It's very easy to get caught up in the discussion of the science behind the things that we do, but the science playing out in terms of revenue, in terms of direct key performance indicators for businesses, that's what's going to continue this next phase of adoption, and the investment in tens of millions and billions of dollars is going to have to be played out. And so where that comes in is having practitioners who are well connected to the business, right? Understanding not just how to do all the things in AI, but also understanding what is appropriate in a given moment for where that business is and how it's maturing. It's a huge thing, and I think it's something that, for all of us who are in love with the technical side of this, it's a very practical side of making sure that we show the payoff and show the value of the stuff that we're doing.
Okay, The only thing I would want to add is what I see as a big opportunity is to keep a stage and a playing board for both showing large corporations and large businesses which have a lot of revenue that apply AI in their products and make them more efficient and better for their customers, but at the same time also keeping a spotlight on the younger people that are going to use these new technologies to create completely new products. Because I think what we should not forget is that the best...
You mean young people? You're young people.
I'm youngish, I would say. Yeah.
What is Tarry? Yeah, exactly. We're like
Well, I'm 20. He's young. I'm youngish. You guys are you. No, so the only thing I was going to say is like I was going to say that the best AI products and applications are yet to be invented, and we should keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
But the threats, there has to be something. Which
I've always been an optimist, so I'll leave the threat to you guys.
So then I can be the pessimist. So no, in terms of the opportunities, I think everything has been said so far. AI is still not adopted at every industry and every company, right? So there's a lot of opportunities actually in every country that you see. So it's not only even when you go to the US, right? You have still so many like big corporations who still don't have like an AI application really or machine learning adopted in some of the applications, right? It's only the big tech companies that are doing this. In terms of threat, actually there's a lot of threats. I would go like you have a threat in a way that AI can be used misused, for example for deepfakes, right? So this is a very upcoming topic this year, but also for next year that I've seen that these technologies becomes much more easier to commercialize these kind of applications, right? And now we have to do research, right, on this topic, how we can prevent kind of deepfakes, videos as well, but also for not only for videos, but also for sound, but also for text, right? So when you see like what OpenAI is doing, right, with the stage release of their model, right, because they know that can be dangerous. So this is something that let's say if you have like corporations who don't care about this, right, they just could release it immediately, and people can misuse these things. So we need to be more like there needs to be a lot of ethics, in AI and machine learning. So we cannot just use machine learning everywhere, right? We cannot just apply machine learning on HR like so simply or when you just see the case with Apple and Goldman Sachs recently, right? So this is something we need sustainable and ethical AI as well, and this is something that I also see as a big threat. If a lot of corporations, they still don't see it because they haven't learned the hard way what Google did a couple of years ago with their Google Photos, with this incident that they had, and these companies are learning this now, right? So this is a very big threat for many companies.
Thank you. I see a very interesting opportunity in the whole AI space of education. So we've had a lot of training people have received in different skills, different technologies, programming languages. But what's sometimes we miss is with respect to data science, and especially the science part of data science. And by science I mean when you're trying to solve a problem, if you just throw a deep neural network at it, the challenge is over a period of time it will prove to be brittle. And it's nothing against deep neural network, it can be any kind of algorithm that you choose, right? So if we carefully train each one of ourselves, and especially people in schools or at conferences like this, in careful problem solving and persistent problem solving where we don't give up, right? Where we don't throw away outliers, right? So that is a huge opportunity, especially in India, where we say no, let us challenge. Let us not just accept, oh, here is a model with good metrics, deploy it, right? We need to be able to challenge that model and say, is it going to get me the revenue that I expected? Is it meeting the expectations of my stakeholders? How am I going to test it, maintain it over a long period of time? So those aspects need to come very, very quickly. Otherwise, what I have seen happening recently is there are multiple corporations trying to deploy internally at least, or for their customers, models which are meeting the metrics. And over a period of time, naturally they degrade. That's expected because distributions shift. And then people give up. They say, no, we tried it, it doesn't work. That's painful. The risk that I see for the overall ecosystem is when we go out and say to our stakeholders, AI can do X, whereas we haven't figured out how to do X. And this sometimes happens within corporations, to customers and so forth. We have to be really restrained in saying, okay, this is what's really possible, and let's go ahead and do it, and with high quality. So I think these two aspects, which is solving the science of the domain for the purpose of the business, and making sure we're making the claims at the right level, that'll really help the ecosystem grow.
You guys agree?
Sure.
I'm nodding.
Yeah. So for me, I think there is
Opportunity and threat.
Yeah, so opportunity, I think the biggest thing is, I think individually the domains have seen some adoption, but the bigger opportunity lies in, cross-domain applications or just industries which don't exist today. And, you have to be very open-minded to kind of think about those areas. So that's something which, AI should enable. So new industries either coming up or getting new shape and form, which is I think the biggest opportunity. That's also to some degree a threat that people don't have that mindset right now. So when you're thinking of AI applications in banking or AI applications in this, and you almost do a boxing of what it can do and what it cannot do, not thinking around. So some of those points have been touched. So be careful of what it can do, cannot do, ethical biases, and then not kind of boxing that here is AI, I'll apply it and I'll get the results. So those are the two things I would say.
Awesome. So wonderful feedback. We're kind of half hour into the talk, so we will answer the questions, and I encourage my colleagues and esteemed friends to kind of respond to your questions individually if you have any. So this is the last question. We'll try to keep it kind of brief, and I'll be clever this time, so I will not ask the question and answer it myself. So basically, what do you expect in Data Hack Summit 2020? What would you see the most? And just one thing you have to think of. What do you want to see the most happen in Data Hack Summit 2020? Because you're seeing, you told me, Kunal, when we were chatting, you've already seen a 30% growth. I'm not giving you an answer. So you'll say, I want 60% next year. So there, it's growing. That's what I'm trying to say. But what is that one thing you would want to see in Data Hack Summit? Because it's already the leader, but being a leader also brings responsibility in terms of educating and also putting people, as Kunal also gave in his opening keynote, about really taking responsibility of not just training but also guaranteeing positions, internships, and jobs. And I think that's a very bold and an amazing responsible step, which I think only a real entrepreneur can take. So once again, I'm really I admire that. But you can give technical or whatever. So what do you see the most that you would want to, it could be technical thing, it could be some organizational thing, and I guess infrastructure, spicy food. I guess infrastructure, Bangalore would be my request. Solving infrastructure. That's for the government. But yeah, so. Oh shit, I still gave the answer. So I'll pass it on to Akshay, and you guys just think about, you guys get more time to think about that. That one thing. So
okay. So the one thing that I really want from next year is that, I think this year is pretty good, but for next year definitely I would want to have more researchers come and display their work, which is a bit more technical, because once that happens, the level of the conference goes up, and then therefore a lot of people will actually pay attention, not just from India but outside as well. So I think that's one suggestion that I have.
I think it would be appropriate, given the size of the conference, to start thinking about tracks and specializations within the conference, right? You're going to have people that are coming to conferences for different reasons, and I think having that ability for them to know what these sessions are targeted at. Are they targeted at business-focused people? Are they targeted at more technical users? You'll get a lot more. And I think that diversity of experience can be a very valuable thing. Bringing together those people in workshops is also useful. But I think it brings more people in the door, and I think it's a natural next step for something of this size.
I think maybe one thing that I would like to see is, from my experience, I see a lot of larger companies that look at their current organizational structure and their data, and they come and ask us, what can we do with machine learning? And I think one very nice thing for them would be to take a look at startups. So I would like to have a stage where young people that have startups, maybe even startups that think very much outside of the box, showing large companies how they can actually innovate with a new technology like this. Yeah, that's it.
So he took away my startup point. No, but another point that, since I don't have to say it anymore, I think it's about diversity of countries. For example, I think it's interesting to see maybe what are the Chinese researchers doing, right? Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu. Like we have people like Eric is from the US, Sander and me are from Europe, right? So that we have also there's a lot of happening in China and South Korea, right?
Yes.
If you have this more diverse system, especially since ITER is also part of Asia, right? You also have more representative there, I say.
Thank you. I think I agree with each one of the points made. So, Kunal, you've got a big demand. But there's one more. There's one more. For some of the hack sessions, for some of the technical talks, I felt that we needed a little bit more time for the speaker to fully explain them. Like when they're going through equations, sometimes you get a lot of intuition when you actually go through the steps in the equation and so forth. Usually people are just able to show it and then move on to the next thing. And I see this also happening in some of the workshops. Yeah. When, of course, workshops, you cannot extend it way too much.
Yeah, just stay overnight.
But for some of the talks, maybe we could explore, because see, some of the talks are more they're not really presenting new work, they're tutorials. Mm-hmm. So maybe we could make it a 90-minute or 2 hours. Yeah. It depends on the specific topic.
Correct. No, I think I would agree with all the points. For me personally, I would want to bring in more diversity in terms of the sectors and the kind of representation. So maybe more countries coming in. And I think on the format, the question for us has always been, how do you cover more breadth and go in depth at the same time, and that's the, I think tracks is something which can enable that. So yeah, we have our own thinking to do, but I think I'm sure we'll come out with something for next year. What's your take, Terry?
So my take is consolidated, concatenated, as they say in database world, comments of all these, and that's my kind of, not takeaway, but that's my request. But still, I think I would like to actually see infrastructure. I mean, I'm not going to sort of not looking at the government, but I think there are better ways to sort of organize. I know at some point you're reaching also, I guess next year what you reach 1,500. So, and that is not something you can solve. But I think I actually generally agree with all of you guys. I actually don't have any more points to add. because I'll think about. I think. Yeah, I would. Okay, so since you asked, I would like to see more actually hardcore female researchers also in the conference. Because there's and there are, when I've been in Mumbai and given some lectures there, you run across some really brilliant young women as well. So it's something that would be nice, and I think you gave an amazing stage to a lot of young people, young ladies. We spoke to some really smart young women. So I know it sounds like cheeky because it seems to be like a theme in the West. Why not more women? But I think qualitatively, especially in a field which requires diversity, not just diversity in terms of gender, but diversity in terms of also thinking and also actually writing your algorithms and equations when you're looking at certain social or policy or climate specific areas. I think it becomes intuitively interesting to get diversity of thought and brain, the thought process and the brains. I really kind of think it really will help us all as a society. These are amazing young people here, over 1,000 people. I think just if you guys allow me to conclude, it's really fascinating. It's very heartwarming. Every day I wake up and I think of making excuses. I don't think I'll kind of skip and I'll maybe have a longer breakfast. But I just somehow something inside me wakes up and you just want to come here. And then I was waiting for my Uber. I spent 2 hours talking to guys and I just didn't take my Uber. So the enthusiasm is and the desire to learn and to help each other is huge. So I really want to be back. I don't know, Kunal, how you will rate my performance this year. Because he's very strict, he's extremely strict. So we really have to beg to kind of make our proposals. So I want to be back, and I want to see you, wonderful friends, these such amazing people. So thank you so much, everybody, and thanks for all you guys, and just keep deep learning and keep creating amazing products and solutions, and keep engaging on this community as well. Thank you, everybody. Thanks very much. Thank you.